Hello friends and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video we are going to continue our game and we will do some major improvements to our game. So first thing you need to do is in our player script I have changed the time scale to 2, and also we need to increase the time scale in fall tile coroutine. Previously it was 0.5 but now I have set it to 1. So the next thing that we need to do is we need our background to move with our player, because our camera is also following our player. So that we don't want our background to fall behind. So that's why I have created a new script called background move, and I have applied it to our background image right here. Now I am going to open it in Visual Studio. I have already written some code here. I'm going to explain it. So first thing that we need is we want our player reference. So we need to know where our player is so that we can move our background with that. The first thing that you need to do in the start function, we are getting the reference of our player. So remember that we have tagged our player to player right here. Now the second thing is in the update function. So we want to change the position of our background. So we are saying that transform dot position, and we want it to smoothly follow. So that's why we are using vector3 dot smooth damp. So the first argument it will take is current position, and the second argument will be the target position where the background wants to go. So in the target position I have created a new vector3, and inside I am going to put the camera position, camera x. So we want our background and camera move, and so we are copying the camera x position and we are adding a value of 3. So you don't have to put 3, but we will see what this 3 will do. And on the y-axis we want our background to follow our player. So that's why we are saying player dot transform dot position dot y, and the third argument is transform dot position dot z. So we can also put camera y position, but I have added player. And the last thing is transform dot z position. So we don't have to change it, so we are setting it to default background z position. The third argument it will take is reference to our velocity. So I have created a vector3 private variable vector3 called velocity vel, and the third argument is the our smoothness time. So I have added 1 to it. Now save that, and let's go back to our game. And also as you can see that I have changed the material of our player. So you need to create a material here. It is a default material, and I have applied it to my player. Now I am going to play the game. So if you are seeing any jitter in the game, this is because of my frame rate. Otherwise there is no lag in the game. It's my screen recorder frame rate, that's why you are seeing some lag in the game. So now we have so here is our background. Now you will see that our background will move with our player. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to increase the default tiles, because we are only generating 5 of tiles now. As you can see that we only have 5, so we don't want this empty space. So I'm going to change the code in our generator script, and I am going to increase it to 8. So let's see. So now we also want our to create a game over screen, and we need to detect that our player has died. So let me play this. So now you can see that we have more tiles than before. So to detect the death of player, what we need to do is, so currently if you see that our player y is 0.8087, or simply say 0.8, and our camera position is also 0.8. So when our uh, player, so let's say our player position is 0.8, so when we move to next tile, our player y position will increase. And our, so if our previous position is 0.8, the next position will be 1.2 or something like that. But if we fall down, so when we fall down, our player will also fall with the tile. So it means that our player y position will also decrease. So if the previous was position was 0.8, so the moment player will pass this point when falling down, its y will be less than the previous position. So when this happens, we will know that our player has now fallen down, and we need to show the game over screen. So to do that, I am going back to my player script, and in here I am going to create a float variable called previous y position, and I am going to set it to some value, let's say minus 1000. So why this is why I did that, I will explain it in a bit. So we need to set the previous y position. So remember, our y position will be right here. So when we hit the tile, we need to store that position in our previous. So we are going to in our on collision enter 2D function, I am going to initialize the previous y position to transform dot position dot y. Now in the update function, I will check if transform dot position is less than previous y position. So it means that now our player has fallen down. So dot y. So now we are going to call the death function here. I am going to copy Also we need a private bool variable is dead. So currently it will set to false, and we need to make it public so that we can access it later in other scripts. Now in the death function we are going to say is dead equals true. Now if the player is already dead, if is dead, then we want to return, or simply say if player is not dead already, then only we want to call this function. So now let me play this. So now you can see that our player has died. So let me play it again. So what we can do is we don't want this death function to be called immediately. We want our, so we want the our player, when our player reaches at let's say if our player is at this point, so when our player is reaches this point or that boundary, then we need to call the death function. So we can do a simple trick here. We can say +5. So now you can see that our death function is doing just fine, and we also don't want our camera to follow our player when the player dies. So what we are going to do inside our camera player, so we already have a reference to our player. So in the update function we will check if player dot, so we need a reference to our script, so we will say player dot get component, and our script name is qb, and our variable is dead. So if the player is dead, we want to return, we don't want our camera to follow our player, so that's why we are simply returning. So let me play this. So now you can see that our camera is staying on the screen, but our background moved with it. So we also don't want our background to move, so I am going to go to our background script, and I am going to do the same thing here. So simply just copy this code and paste it on top. So don't forget to get hold to our reference. And so now we are also getting this error. So double click on that, and inside in here we will check if call dot game object is not equal to null. Save that. So now you can see that our background is also staying on the screen. And another thing that we can do is we can create a game over screen. So to do that, I'm simply going to create a new UI panel here, and inside that panel we are going to create a text and call it game over. Make it bold and select that best fit, and we are going to increase the container size, and we are going to centralize it both vertically and horizontally, and change the max size to this. Now also on our canvas, we want our canvas to be responsive and scalable on each device, so we are going to say scale with screen size, and also select the text and click on this rect transform icon, hold alt and shift and align it on the top. Also we are going to create a new button here, and I am going to import some button. So now I have imported this sprite of button. I'm going to select my button and drag and drop this to our source image, and we are going to say set native size and preserve aspect. You can also resize it, and I am going to place it in center, and we are going to say resume. Make sure to check the best fit and font style to bold and change the color to white. So in the canvas, create a new empty game object and call it game over, or we can simply put this button inside our panel and rename the panel to game over screen. Now you can see that we can enable and disable this screen. So now what we are going to do is we want a reference to our game over screen and show it when our player dies. So I'm going to create a public reference here, public game object, and call it game over screen. And we need to, when our player die, we need to put set active and pass true. So this will actually activate our game over screen, and by default we don't want it to show, so we are going to uncheck. So also don't forget to assign the reference. So I am simply going to select my player, and in the script you will see game over screen, and simply drag and drop this to our game over screen variable. Now you can see that our game over screen has been shown. So if you also if you want to show some animation, we can do that. Select your game over screen and click on create button inside animation window. So if you don't have animation, go to windows and select animation, and I am going to say game over screen animation. Save that, and hit this record button, and press the alt button and right trackpad button to zoom in and zoom out inside this window. So at first frame, make sure that this record button is checked. So at first frame we want our window, so actually we want our window to slide from the left in our screen. So I am going to simply drag this outside the camera bounds, and after 0.30 seconds, so in here at 0.30 I am going to put the both of these two values that has been changed to 0 and 0. Click on save button and uncheck the record button. So if I am going to play now, you can see that our window will slide from the left. Now to increase its speed. You can also make this animation smaller or bigger you want. Now save this, and now click on our newly created game over screen animation and make sure that loop time is unchecked. So we don't want this animation to play again and again. We only want to play this once, and save that. Now uncheck the game over screen and hit play. Now you can see that our window has slide from the. So if you want to slow it down, we can, one way, another way is to change this sample. So I am simply going to say 40 frames, and now if I play this, you can see that we have our nice animation. So we will do work on UI at the end of these videos, and we will create some cool animations, and I will see you in my next video.